the #1 long-form writer that helps SEOs outrank competition at the click of a button using real-time research and NLP. Start ranking content today with content@scale.ai.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Hey everyone. The one thing I was worried about doing this time slot was that everyone would be drunk after lunch. We all good? The sound of intoxication. I've got loads of slides to get through, so I'm going to try and be as quick as I can. 3 very quick things about me. As Claire said, I'm the co-founder of RankCaddy, an SEO tool that turns your SEO data into actions, things like rank tracking data, a blend of Search Console and analytics data, keyword research data, things like that. I'm the author of The Organic Advantage, was a #1 bestseller in multiple categories on Amazon. I actually need to update that because I wrote that a few years ago and I still have some physical copies of that in the office. So if you would like a copy, let me know and I'll happily post you one. And something I've never mentioned at any talks before, but I actually used to fight in cages. I have an amateur MMA record of 7 wins from 9 fights. A while back, I switched to just doing jiu-jitsu because it's all the things I loved about MMA without getting punched in the face every night. But we are not here to talk about getting punched in the face, hopefully, depending on how drunk you are. We're here to talk about topic clusters. So a little bit of a sidestep from what we've been talking about, more talking about what happens when these links hit the site and how we make the most of this. So what are topic clusters and why do they matter? So put simply, topic clusters are basically a way of creating content around a topic or a subject in a structured and strategic way. That'll all become a bit clearer in a moment, but why do they matter? So we do this for 2 reasons. 1, from a user point of view, and 2, from an SEO point of view. 1, the user point of view, fairly obvious, they give the audience the information they need. So rather than users having to ping from site to site, excuse me, find the information they need, answer the questions they're looking to be answered, everything is in one place, much better user experience. From an SEO point of view, they help strengthen topical authority. And topical authority is basically a signal of credibility. And if you can signal topical authority to search engines, not only do you show yourself as a more trustworthy and reliable resource, but you'll also find it's a hell of a lot easier to rank for other pieces of content within your topic. You know when sites just throw up a bit of content and it just ranks when they seemingly don't seem to do anything else? This is where topical authority comes in. More often than not, you'll find that when those same sites post something that's way outside of their topic, it's a whole different story. So when it comes to topical authority, some of these may look familiar. We've got EEAT, obviously something Google have been really pushing over recent years, content quality, internal links, and backlinks. And not only are these things really relevant to topical authority, but they can also help really bolster topical authority as well. So are topic clusters and topical authority the real deal? So just quickly, I'm going to go back in time a bit. So there was this Google patent in 2015 called ranking search results based on entity metrics. And in there, that suggests that search engines consider the comprehensiveness of a website's content around a specific topic when determining its ranking. So another indication of the importance of topics and topical authority. Then in 2017, so a couple of years later, there was this one, deep breath for this one, website representation vector to generate search results for the website. Try saying that drunk. And that suggested that Google might determine the relevance of a website to a query by looking at the overall theme. So again, supporting the concept of topical authority. Then a couple of years ago, they released this article about their AI features. And just a few things I've highlighted here. So they say, we're making it easier to explore and understand new topics. They then talk about an example of acrylic painting. And then they go on to say, Google understands how people typically explore this topic. And in that same article, they say, we're making it easy to zoom in and out of a topic. So it just kind of shows the importance that Google are putting behind topics and the whole concept of topical authority. And then, of course, there's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, something Google have really been pushing, and another indication that Google really values topical authority. So we know topic clusters and topical authority are important. We know from some of these things we've just been looking at. We know because people have done countless tests and case studies to show that they can be really effective. But how do we build these? Because you'll probably see them done in quite a few different ways. So before we look at some examples, I just want to take you through 5 quick steps. Step 1 being identify your topic or your pillar page. Now, where people go wrong with this often is they worry about going after something too competitive. I hear a lot things like, oh, I don't want to go after that topic. It has huge search volume, but it's far too competitive. I'm never going to rank for that. But that's kind of missing the point. It isn't about ranking for that top-level pillar page, at least certainly immediately. You're more than likely going to be going after these cluster pages that sit underneath. The whole point of it is to build out that topic and, more importantly, build topical authority around that subject. Step 2 is identify your subtopics or your cluster pages. And this is where keyword research comes in. So you might look at things like related keywords, questions around a topic. So you might use things like Google's People Also Ask data, popular filters, so things like benefits of, examples of, and so on. So a few examples here of things you might see in a typical topic cluster. What is X? Examples of X, tips and ideas around your topic, how to do or use X, what are the benefits of X, even how to use X for a thing, an activity, or a person, and that might be a gender or a hobby type or a job role. So just a few examples there. Step 3, create high quality content. Sorry, just as a side note on this, I was asked to do this talk at very short notice, and when I was putting the presentation together, I thought, I know what will help me save time with some images, Midjourney. Anyone use Midjourney? Like, AI images have come a long way, but like, what's that? Despite the guy having an extra finger, which I only noticed yesterday, the meat looks like it's made of worms, but this was meant to represent high quality, so the rest of it looks cool, so just go with it, high quality. So we've got 2 bits of content to think about. We've got pillar pages and we've got cluster pages. So for pillar pages, there's a couple of options. Well, there's more than a couple of options, but these are a couple of common options that you'll likely see. So we've got shorter form and we've got longer form. Shorter form, something I'm seeing a lot more of recently, and I'll show you a couple of examples of that later. And that is where you have a piece of content as your pillar page. You have subheadings, which are normally related to your cluster pages. You then have a summary of that subheading and then a relevant anchor link, linking off to your cluster page. Longer form is, for some reason, when you have to go into a lot more detail on a topic, and that is when you have to have a very long form, in-depth type of content, but the principles are the same. You're still linking off with relevant anchors to your cluster pages. But the shorter form, as I said, I'm seeing a lot more of recently. I'll show you some examples of that. And then for cluster pages, it's all about quality, quality, quality. And I'll touch more on that in a moment. A few tools you can help with that can help with cluster pages. RankCaddy, the content and keywords feature, has a topic clusters feature, which can help generate ideas for topic clusters. Surfer, a very good content optimization tool. Hands up if you use Surfer. Okay, quite a few of you. So for those who haven't used it, it basically scrapes what's already ranking, pulls in some Google data from their APIs like entity data, mashes it all I'm simplifying this, but mashes it all together, and then gives you some recommendations. So things like what sort of terms should you be mentioning on the page, what sort of subheadings should you be using, what's the rough content length you should be looking at to compete with what's already on page 1. And you do have to take some of these recommendations with a pinch of salt. Some people follow it to the letter. But what it is very good for is making sure you haven't missed key areas of a topic. If you look at the recommendations, you might see, oh, hold on, I haven't even spoken about any of this. So it's very good for that. Clear Scope, very similar tool, bit more on the expensive side, but it has very good UI. Phrase, along the same kind of lines, but more for content specking. So again, it scrapes what's already ranking. It pulls in data like the subheadings being used, the links going out, so the sources being referenced. And then you can pull some of that data into your content spec. So you can say, I want to use these subheadings, I'm going to tweak some of them, I want to reference some of these same sources, and then you can pass that over to your content writers and say, write me something awesome. And then one more that I always feel weird recommending as a tool, but not enough people just check the SERPs in Google. So have a look at what's already ranking and just look at things like how have they structured the page? What multimedia are they using? What sort of things are they talking about? What subheadings are they using? What's the page design like? Like, why do people potentially love this page more than others that are ranking below it? And then ask yourself honestly, is my page 5 times better than this? Is it even just twice as good as this? Because if your response is, it's all right, it's quite good, I think it deserves to rank, then you probably need to go back to the drawing board and just make it better. Step 4 is add relevant internal links. Now, we know internal links are really important for SEO. They're certainly important for topic clusters. I actually did a talk a couple of years ago here just on internal linking. You can get the slides to that at a bit.ly link, internal linking Brighton SEO, if you want to have a look at those. Or if you'd rather watch the presentation, the online version is there on YouTube. There is a middle initial there, it is Martin C. Hayman. So you can go and watch that if you want to. But with internal links, there's a few main factors to think about, and that is quantity, quality, and relevance. Quantity as in, are there enough coming in? Quality, are they good enough and are they from quality pages? But the one that I really drill home in that talk I did a couple of years ago, and something that's come up in the first couple of talks today, is relevance. Don't just be splashing internal links all over the place just for the sake of squeezing in internal links. Relevance is really important. So if we go back to this example here, if we have a subheading of benefits of topic clusters, and then we have a summary of text underneath that with a relevant anchor text, then pointing to a much more detailed cluster page about the benefits of topic clusters, that's a really, really relevant internal link. Step 5 is review and improve. And when I say improve, I'm mainly talking about, does the content need improving? So is it genuinely good enough? Do we need more content? Have you created a content cluster with 5 cluster pieces sitting under the topic and that's it? So do you actually need more content? Don't just create a cluster, let it sit for 2 years and hope that it just improves itself. Keep coming back and reviewing. And also, do you need backlinks to help bolster that topic cluster? So I think the key here is don't just set and forget. Make sure you're analyzing, coming back, reviewing, and constantly trying to improve all of this content. Before I show you some really good examples, I just wanted to touch on a few common mistakes that are easy to fall into. Mistake 1 being keyword cannibalization. So you may have seen things along these kind of lines before. Step-by-step guide to creating topic clusters, 10 ways to create topic clusters, how to build effective topic clusters. When you look at the intent and the substance of these articles, they're basically the same thing. They're just talking about creating topic clusters. So you fall into the trap of sending confusing signals to Google or other search engines, and if you know anything about keyword cannibalization, you'll know that it can then have a negative impact on rankings. So something to be aware of when you're creating content. Mistake 2 is siloing. Not something you see so much of these days in the strict sense, but some of you may remember this old analogy from Bruce Clay years ago: find an orange jelly bean, really hard to find, then find it, and it's perfectly siloed. But the old way of siloing, strict siloing, was you'd have your topic or your silo, and you wouldn't link in or out of that. And I've seen people go as far as changing their main navigation in their footer per silo. The problem with doing this is you end up with a huge amount of missed internal linking opportunities, because you may have a lot of supporting content that sits outside that topic cluster, But it doesn't necessarily fit within the topic cluster, but it's still really relevant, and it could still potentially be a really strong internal link. Because topic clusters these days look a bit more like this. So you've got your pillar page in the middle, you've got your cluster pages around the outside, and then you've got your supporting content around the outside. And this is often in the form of blog posts, but it's still relevant and it's still supporting that cluster. And I'll show you some examples of exactly this setup in a moment. Mistake 3 is just lack of quality and quantity. And we kind of touched on this already, but quantity as in, do you have enough content? And is it good enough, genuinely good enough? And internal links, are there enough of them? And are they good enough? But again, key is relevance here. So I don't know about you, but whenever I've been to Brighton SEO in the past, I love to just see some examples, just kind of pieces it all together. So one example here is from Drift. I love this example. It's they rank really well for chatbots. So this is their pillar page on chatbots. You can see they've got a fixed navigation down the left-hand side there with related cluster content, 9 pieces I think there's there. And if we scroll down a little bit, this setup may look familiar. It's that shorter form setup. So for example, they've got a subheading of how do chatbots work. They've then got a brief summary of how they work, and then they're linking off to their cluster pages with relevant anchor text, the same pages that you'll see up here. And if we then have a look at those cluster pages, they've got relevant anchors pointing back up to the pillar page. So in this case, they're linking back up with chatbot. On the how to create a chatbot page, they're linking back with chatbots. And on that same article, they're also doing a bit of cross-linking as well. So they're linking over to another cluster page to benefits of chatbots. Now, if you look at the left-hand side there, you see there's 9 pieces, 9 cluster pages in there. Now, is that it? Is that all that's linking up to that pillar page? Well, if we run a crawl of that site with Sitebulb and just look at that pillar page, you'll see there's 109 linking URLs. So where are the rest of those links coming from? Most of them are actually coming from blog posts. So these are things that don't necessarily fit directly within that topic cluster, but they are still really relevant, or chunks of them are really relevant. So it's still a potentially really valuable internal link. So a couple of examples here. There's a blog post that links up with chatbot to the pillar page. And a more recent example, a guide on personalization, doesn't necessarily fit within that topic cluster of chatbots, but it's still really relevant to chatbots. And they talk about chatbots here. And as you can see, they're linking back with a relevant anchor to their pillar page. So again, this might look familiar. We're seeing this kind of setup with the topic cluster in the middle, and then supporting content in the form of blog posts, linking in and supporting that cluster. One more example, this one I found more recently from Search Engine Journal. They actually have the featured snippet for link building, so a really competitive term. And you'll notice this one's a bit more of a different layout as well. They're linking to all their cluster pages from the top of the page. And then a bit further down, they have some relevant content. Now, I haven't shown the whole screenshot here because it just looked a bit naff, but the actual content on the page isn't much more than that. It's maybe 3 times longer than that. There's a subheading in the middle. There's an FAQ at the bottom with 2 questions in it, and that's it. You wouldn't look at it and think mind-blowing content, but it summarizes link building really well, and it's a great pillar page because it's making the journey easy. It's linking off to really relevant cluster content. So a couple of examples. They're doing things a little bit differently in that they're using breadcrumbs as well. So they're using breadcrumbs to link back to their pillar page, but rather than just relying on templated breadcrumb links, they're also linking contextually. So in this example, they're linking back with building quality links. In this one, they are linking back further up the page with link building. So they're varying up the anchors as well. But what you'll notice is they're also linking back from blog posts. So in this example, doesn't necessarily fit directly within that topic cluster, but still relevant to link building. So they've got a link under more resources at the bottom where they're linking to that pillar page. And then another example where they're linking at the top of the page with a relevant contextual link back to link building, so the link building cluster. So again, we're seeing this kind of setup with supporting content around the outside. Before I wrap up, I just wanted to show you a quick way to generate cluster ideas without spending hours in spreadsheets, so to save time. I'll first show you just quickly how we do it with RankCaddy, and then I'll show you a free way that you can do it with ChatGPT. So in RankCaddy's content and keywords feature, you'll notice at the top, you've got things like relevant keywords, questions, popular filters, that's your things like your examples of, your benefits of, people also ask data, auto suggest data, supporting content, so that's looking at what's already ranking and what content are they writing around that same topic. And then you've got this little topic cluster feature. And what it basically does is take samples of that data, feeds it through a very specific AI prompt, and then gives you suggestions for your content cluster pages. So in this example, I only asked for 10 pieces. You can ask for more. And you don't have to use these titles exactly, but it will give you a very good idea of the types of content pieces you should have within a topic cluster. If you want to do this with ChatGPT, don't just go to ChatGPT and say, I'm creating a topic cluster around X topic. Give me some cluster ideas, because the results from my experience are garbage. You're better off feeding some relevant data into it. So take whatever keyword research data you have. So that might be relevant keywords around the topic. It might be questions, and that might be questions within your keyword research data. It might be questions in people also ask data that you've pulled from Google. So feed some of that data in with a very specific prompt. So you might start with something like, I'm creating a topic cluster around the topic of X. I need to create some cluster pages underneath this. Here are some relevant keywords related to this topic. Please account for these when giving me ideas. Give me a list of ideas number 1 to 10. So it might be something like that. You will have to tweak that over time. You'll probably find it gets quite long and you expand on it, but it can save you a lot of time by getting a prompt like this right. That's it. So the slides they are available actually. I uploaded it last night, so the slides will be available there if you want to grab them. Just topic clusters, Brighton SEO. I've also got a newsletter, Next Level Online, NXT Level Online. It's nextlevelonline.com, and that's just free marketing ideas, advice, and tips from things I found throughout the week. There's also a Next Level Online podcast that you may have noticed in the YouTube screenshots. I've had the likes of Rand Fishkin and Ben Heath on there, so feel free to check that out if you want. And if you've got your phones handy, there's no initial there. I'm just Martin Hayman on what we're calling it these days, X, Twitter. I can't bring myself to call it X yet, but follow me on there. My DMs are open, so if I went through anything too fast there and you want to pop me a message, please do. Email's down there as well if you want to email me, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.